I need to make some more hive stands, as I'm planning to increase the size of my apiary this year for the bees. So basically what I do is I take some 4x4s and run some 2x4s and build a little hive stand for them to sit on. Not a terribly scientific approach as far as how I do this. What I do is I just kind of look at my scrap pile. In this case I have this one that's already cut, right about 31 3/8. So all I did is I found some other scrap 4x4s that I have over there. I save just about every bit of scrap that I can because there's always something else I want to build. Obviously my chop saw is not going to have a blade big enough, so I went on ahead and marked it all the way around. I'll have to turn and cut, turn and cut, turn and cut to make sure I get that cut down. I've got another piece out there that I'm going to go ahead and cut to make the legs, and then we'll attach it to the 2x4. So let me go ahead and make these cuts and I'll show you where we are. Actually, after having just made that cut, I shall stand corrected. This is my new chop saw, which actually has a blade large enough that it cut all the way through it in one cut, which was nice. So I was still thinking in terms of my old chop saw, which was a smaller blade. So that's done. Let me go ahead and finish these cuts and we'll see what we've got. Okay, we finished those cuts. I have 6 legs, 6 because I am going to put 2 in the middle, just to give it a little extra support in the middle, because it will be an 8-foot run of 2x4s to make that hive stand. So next step is going to go ahead and attach the long ends, and I'll go ahead and cut the side pieces, and I'll show you where we're at after that. Okay, out here cutting the cross members for the bee stand. What I do is I make this piece, which is actually going to go across the stand themselves. I'm going to make 4 of those. Those are 16 inches. That leaves a 20-inch deep or wide beehive able to easily sit upon there. Have a little bit of scrap. If you haven't figured it out yet, I like to use a lot of scrap if I have it. No point in using a new piece of lumber. If I have an old one, I can cut down and not waste a whole piece. So I'm going to make these cuts and I'll show you the next step. Okay, and here it is partway constructed. It's not exactly rocket science. Just going to take a couple screws, screw your 16-inch cross members onto the board. I think I mentioned earlier I was using 8-foot 2x4s. While I was at Lowe's, I just grabbed a couple 12-footers just to get a little more hive space on there. I am using a 2.5-inch drywall that gets me in there, what, 3/4 of an inch or something like that into the cross member. The most important piece, a little piece of plywood. The ground is soggy, and if you don't have something to put your knee on, then you end up with wet knees. And there it is, assembled the rest of the way. All I have to do now is put the legs on it. I have 6 legs. What I'll actually end up doing is putting 2 here, 2 there, and I'll stagger them. I'll put 1 here and 1 there for the middle section. That seems to work okay. So let me get those legs screwed on there and we'll take a look. Okay, so I finished putting the legs on and realized I obviously measured something incorrectly, because this bad boy is way too tall. I can reach it as long as it's 2 deep, but anything higher than that I can't see down inside. Not sure. All my other stands are much lower, so something in my notes or something was mistaken. So I'm going to lop these legs off and make them about 18 inches off the ground. So let me chop those off real quick. It's a little harder now that I'm mounted up, so it'll take a minute. Okay, got those chopped off. For anyone who has ever had to cut 4x4s with a circular saw, you know what a pain in the butt that was. Especially since they were already attached to the frame of it.
But that's it. Hang on one sec. I'll grab a hive body and let you see how it fits. Okay, there you have it. It's a 8-frame deep. You can see it sits a little bit to spare on each side of it. It actually has a little room to go back a bit farther if you want it to. These legs will actually sink, I don't know, 6-8 inches down into the ground. I'm going to put these in the ground. Probably the most expensive part of this thing. These suckers are like $3.50 a pop at Lowe's. I am saving paint cans for future ones, but it takes a lot of paint to get enough cans, so we're getting there. But I'll put those in the ground. Just dig a little hole with a post hole digger. Mount those there, and I'll fill them with burnt motor oil, and that will keep the ants out. I hate ants like some of you hate hive beetles. Don't get me wrong, I hate hive beetles too, but I despise ants with a passion. They pretty well wiped me out my first year, and I had to start from scratch, so I'm a little paranoid about the ants. So anyway, that's my hive stand in a nutshell. As Norm Abrams says, make sure you measure twice so you only have to cut once, unlike myself today. And I appreciate you watching. Please hit subscribe and like if you liked it. Thanks.